In the summer of 1973, a trainer named Alan Jerkins stood at the rail at Saratoga every morning before dawn. They called him the Giant Killer because he had beaten Kelso 3 times in 4 meetings and taken down Buckpasser and Cougar after that. Now he was stabled 40 feet from Secretariat and watching him train with a stopwatch in his hand. Every morning he saw something the cameras never picked up. The colt was flat, and what Jerkins did with that observation would cost Secretariat the only race that made 30,000 people fall silent. But to understand what Jerkins recognized, you have to know what Saratoga does to champions. Saratoga, the oldest sporting venue in America. They call it the Graveyard of Champions. Man-O-War lost here in 1919. Gallant Fox lost here in 1930 to a 100-to-1 long shot named Jim Dandy. Now Secretariat arrived carrying a Triple Crown and the kind of fame that puts a horse on the cover of 3 national magazines in the same week. There was a man in Barn 14 that summer who had beaten more champions than most trainers ever saddled. He was watching. The Whitney was not the last time Jerkins would break this horse that autumn. It was not even the worst, and the race Saratoga renamed in 2017 was not named for any horse. If you have seen the Secretariat video on this channel, you know the bloodline. Bold Ruler, Something Royal, the colt that arrived too big, too red, too fast. Alan Jerkins was born in 1929 on Long Island. His father ran a riding academy. By 1950, Jerkins had his trainer's license. He was not a loud man, not a showman. He was the kind of person who arrived at the barn at 5 in the morning with a coffee in his hand. It went cold every time because he forgot he was holding it. His gift was patience. He did not obsess over his own horses the way most trainers did. He studied the other horse, the champion, the one everybody believed could not lose. He watched how it moved when nobody important was looking. He listened to the rhythm of its stride, the way a mechanic listens to an engine. And when he found the flaw, he never said a word about it. His horse for the Whitney was Onion, a chestnut gelding sired by Third Martini, bred and owned by Hobo Farm outside Ocala, Florida. 54 career starts, 15 wins, solid but unremarkable. Nobody's idea of a giant killer. But on July 24th, 11 days before the Whitney, Onion set a new Saratoga track record, 6.5 furlongs. The gelding was sharp and peaking at exactly the right moment. Jerkins knew what to do with that. He built the race plan himself. Onion would break fast and take the lead. Jacinto Vasquez, the jockey, would grab the rail and ration speed through the turns, then dare Secretariat to chase him down from behind. If you appreciate what I am doing here, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. Now let us dive back in. What Jerkins sensed from 40 feet away, Secretariat's own people missed from 10. Secretariat in full stride was unmistakable. 16 hands, 2 inches of deep chestnut with 3 white stockings, a reach so long it made the horses beside him look like they were standing still. But the horse Jerkins watched training that week was not that animal. The head sat a fraction lower. The stride lacked its usual violence. He was moving like a horse going through the motions, not a horse trying to prove anything. Inside the colt's upper lip, at the site of his identification tattoo, an abscess was forming. Every registered thoroughbred receives a tattoo on the inner lip for identification. Secretariat's had become infected. The result was a low-grade fever, not high enough to set off alarms, not low enough to ignore. Penny Chenery knew something was off. She agreed to run him anyway. The horse was syndicated for $6,080,000. Philip Morris was planning the inaugural Marlboro Cup 6 weeks out. There was pressure on this horse that no thermometer could measure. Lucian Lauren watched the flat workouts and grew uneasy. But the Whitney field was only 5 horses. Secretariat was 1 to 10 on the morning line. $9.10 to win a single dollar. Nobody in this field could beat him, not on his worst day. That was the mistake. August 4th, 91 degrees at Saratoga. 30,119 people packed into the grandstand. The largest crowd in Saratoga's history. They did not come to see a race. They came to see a horse. 5 horses loaded into the gate. Secretariat carried 126 pounds, top weight in the handicap. Onion carried 119, 7 pounds of difference. The bell rang. Vasquez fired Onion straight to the front and took the rail. He set an honest pace but held something back. Secretariat settled in third. The crowd was patient. They had seen this before. The big red horse always sat behind early and then came like a freight train around the far turn. He came. Turcotte moved Secretariat to the inside rail, entering the final turn. The colt reached Onion at the quarter pole. This is where it was supposed to end. This is where 31 lengths happen. It did not happen. Onion held. Secretariat dug, but could not find the gear. The crowd leaned forward. In the final furlong, Onion pulled away. 1 length at the wire. The grandstand went quiet. Not angry, not confused, just silent. 30,000 people trying to understand what they had just watched. 1 to 10 favorites do not lose. Triple Crown winners do not lose to geldings sired by Third Martini. But this one did. The man in barn 14 had seen it coming. He had watched Secretariat work 10 days earlier and known what the crowd paid good money not to believe. The horse was not right. Jerkins did not need a veterinarian to tell him. He had 40 years of watching horses move. The aftermath was bitter. Lauren turned on Turcotte publicly. Why did he not open up on the backstretch? Why did he sit behind and wait, instead of putting daylight between Secretariat and the field? Turcotte pushed back. The partnership between trainer and jockey cracked open at Saratoga that afternoon. Vasquez was honest about it. He said he probably caught Secretariat on a bad day. He said Onion was not the same caliber. But then he said the thing that mattered most. Onion loved Saratoga and simply had a good day. The abscess was discovered days later. The fever was confirmed. Secretariat was pulled from the Travers Stakes. Saratoga management arranged an exhibition gallop on Travers Day so the crowd could at least see the horse run. It was the saddest consolation prize in racing. 6 weeks later, different track, a different horse entirely. September 15th, 1973, Belmont Park, the inaugural Marlboro Cup Invitational Handicap. $250,000 in purse money. The richest race in the world at that time. Jack Landry was the marketing executive who built it. Before the Whitney, he told reporters that if Secretariat ever lost, they would find Landry dead on the track. He meant it as a joke. After Saratoga, nobody laughed. 7 horses in the field. Onion was there. So was Riva Ridge, Secretariat's stablemate, and the previous year's Kentucky Derby winner. Cougar, Kennedy Road, Key to the Mint. The best older horses in training assembled for one afternoon. Secretariat was healthy. The abscess had healed. The fever had broken. Lauren backed off the training, gave the horse time, and brought him back right. The race unfolded like a statement. Secretariat went to the front with Riva Ridge running beside him as a rabbit. The 2 Meadow stable horses ran 1 and 2 through the backstretch and around the far turn. Then Secretariat separated. He pulled away from his own stablemate and opened daylight through the stretch. 3.5 lengths at the wire. The time silenced the building. 1 minute, 45 and 2/5 seconds for 9 furlongs. A world record on a track rated good, not fast, good. No horse had ever covered 9 furlongs that fast on any surface at any track in the world. The answer to Saratoga arrived in numbers that could not be argued. Onion finished 4th, but Jerkins was not finished. 2 weeks later, same track, September 29th, the Woodward Stakes, 1.5 miles. Lauren told the press Secretariat was in perfect condition. He said it publicly. He believed it. The horse Jerkins sent this time was not Onion. It was Prove Out. A 5-year-old purchased from King Ranch for $65,000, ridden by Jorge Velasquez. Almost nobody had heard of this horse 6 months earlier. The Whitney was not the last time. This was worse. Prove Out carried 126 pounds. Secretariat carried 119. The weights were reversed from the Whitney. Secretariat had the lighter load this time. It did not matter. Velasquez used the same playbook Jerkins had drawn for Vasquez in August. Front running, slow early fractions. Save everything for the stretch. The track was sloppy from overnight rain. Prove Out opened up on the far turn and never looked back. 4.5 lengths. Secretariat finished second, 16-1 odds. Jerkins had beaten the greatest horse alive twice in 7 weeks. With 2 different horses, using the same tactic both times. No other trainer in the 20th century put together that record against a single champion in one autumn. 32,117 people attended the Woodward. They pinned for Secretariat. They watched Jerkins. Secretariat's final career start came 3 weeks later at the Canadian International at Woodbine in Toronto. He won by 6.5 lengths. His last race was a victory. But the autumn of 1973 belonged to Alan Jerkins. At the end of that year, the Eclipse Award for Outstanding Trainer went to Jerkins, not to Lucien Lauren, who had trained a Triple Crown winner, to the man who had beaten that Triple Crown winner twice. Onion never won another stakes race. His career after that August afternoon was undistinguished and troubled by injuries. By 1977, he was running in low grade and claiming races. He retired to Hobo Farm outside Ocala and died in 1995. One perfect day at Saratoga. That was enough. In 1975, at age 45, Jerkins became the youngest trainer ever inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. He would win more than 200 stakes races across 6 decades. He never stopped doing what he had always done: watching, waiting, finding the flaw the cameras missed. Jerkins' sons followed him into the barn. Jimmy Jerkins trains at Belmont and Saratoga. Stephen Jerkins trained for years in New York. The methods pass through the blood. Watch the other horse. Study how it moves when nobody is paying attention. Do not say what you see. File it away. Wait for the moment. In 2017, the New York Racing Association renamed the Grade 1 King's Bishop Stakes at Saratoga. They called it the H. Allen Jerkins Memorial Stakes. The man from Barn 14 got his name on the place that made him. The losses did not diminish Secretariat. If anything, they enlarged him. The Marlboro Cup World Record stood as proof of what he was when the fever broke and the abscess healed. The Belmont remains the standard for dominance, but the Whitney proved something no victory ever could. Secretariat was mortal, and a quiet man with a stopwatch and a cold cup of coffee saw it before anyone else in the country. Saratoga has always done this. The dirt remembers. Man o' War fell here. Gallant Fox fell here. Secretariat fell here. The graveyard does not care how fast you are. Alan Jerkins died on March 18, 2015. He was 85. His sons were at his side. The training rail at Saratoga where he stood each morning is still there. A race carries his name now. What the cameras missed, the sport remembered. If you like this story, do not miss the next one appearing on your screen right now.